Today we're looking at 5 supplements for your health. You may recall previously I did a whole video series about any scientifically established supplements that I went through, and any supplement that actually had validity, I talked about it. This video in particular, we're just talking about ones that are for your health, meaning it's going to prevent cardiovascular disease, it's going to lower the risk of diabetes, less risk of all forms of cancer or particular forms of cancer, osteoporosis, anything that actually affects your health. And I myself, I take 4 of these 5 supplements every single day. And even the other supplement, the remaining one, I would suggest most people take, because most people are simply not getting enough fiber in their diet. I'm sure if you've been following me for a while, you've heard me talk about each and every single one of these supplements. But YouTube is awesome because I can really just go more in depth talking about these things. When it's Instagram, I really have 40 seconds to get a message out there. And so it kind of pigeonholes me and only allows me to talk about so much. Today, we're going to go in depth about why these supplements are so crucial and probably necessary because you're not getting them likely through diet alone. You'll have to excuse me, we're also renovating our house, so you might hear something in the background. You probably won't because we have a really good mic on, but just in case, we've got a renovation going. We're building our in-home gym, which I can't wait to do a full-length video and show you it. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin that's crucial in multiple bodily functions. It helps with the absorption of calcium, which is obviously important for your bones. It also promotes cell growth, immune system, and supporting neuromuscular function. So these all sound like very important things because they are. The bad news is 40% of the population is deficient in vitamin D. It used to be as high as 70%, but again, like I said, everybody's making you aware of it, so that number has gone down to 40%, but that's still a hefty chunk. There are several reasons why people are deficient in vitamin D. First and foremost is limited sun exposure. I live in New York. It's not always sunny here. Also, I get up, I start my day every morning at 5 o'clock. I'm at work Monday through Friday by 6 o'clock. I'm usually out by like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Then I'm in the woods with my dogs. I'm not getting a ton of sunlight. And if you have a career or you have kids, you probably aren't getting as much sunlight exposure as you want. Another factor is diet. I have a diet that is high in fatty fish, which have a lot of vitamin D. I'm also getting a fair amount of dairy in my diet, which is high in vitamin D. But for most Americans, they're simply not having enough of these sources, at least daily, to allow their vitamin D to be sufficient. That's where supplementation comes into a factor. There are other things like pigmentation. If you have darker skin, it actually makes it harder for you to absorb the vitamin D from sunlight. If you're overweight or obese, it's going to make it more likely that you're deficient in vitamin D. And again, there's multiple reasons why that's a bad thing if you're lacking vitamin D. Bone health, a huge factor, especially as you age. Your bones naturally are going to start to deteriorate. You're going to draw more magnesium out of your bones. You're going to be less likely to absorb calcium as you age. So vitamin D, which helps with the absorption of that calcium, becomes ever more crucial. Immune function, massive, and then muscle function. And that's why a lot of people, and I may have mentioned this, but a lot of people say that vitamin D is like a precursor for steroid-like hormones. What do I recommend you do? First and foremost, get your labs done. You want to see where am I at with my vitamin D, because you don't want too much vitamin D and you also don't want too little vitamin D. For most people, they recommend that you supplement with between 6 and 800 IUs, that's the form of measurement for vitamin D, daily. For me, I actually take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D every single day, and I take it with a combined calcium supplement. And the reason that I do that is because it makes for better absorption, the vitamin K. But I need 10,000 IUs a day just to be in the normal range of my vitamin D. I'm not telling you that that's right for you. What I am telling you is get your labs done per usual, which I preach that message all day, and make sure that your vitamin D is right, because if it's not, it can really play a factor in a host of health problems. Again, bones, immune system, muscle function, all really important. We're talking about fish oil. There are 11 forms of omega fatty 3 acids. We really only talk about 3 of them though, ALA, EPA, and DHA. And of those 3, the latter 2 are the only ones that are really bioavailable, meaning that your body can readily absorb them. Those 2 omega-3s are eicosapentaenoic acid, also known as EPA, and docosahexaenoic acid, DHA. And those are the 2 that we're really going to be talking about because those are the ones found from fish in your diet. So let's talk about fish oil. It's a dietary supplement that's derived from the tissue of oily fish. So again, salmon, mackerel, sardines, oysters, these are all fish that are plentiful of that EPA and DHA. Approximately 80,000 deaths a year are attributed to lack of omega-3s in people's diets, which is really interesting because there's actually about 80,000 deaths a year attributed to trans fats. So when you go to the grocery store, you're aware of like, oh, I shouldn't be eating Doritos, I shouldn't be eating Oreos, but most people don't think, hey, am I getting enough omega-3s in my diet? Matter of fact, I bet most people don't even understand what an omega-3 is. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I mean, guys, this is incredibly important to your health, especially your cardiovascular health. Various different governing bodies like the American Heart Rate Association, etc., they all have different recommendations for dosage. It gets really complex. What I would say to you is always get labs first and foremost. If you do not have blood work, generic advice, take 500 milligrams combined of EPA and DHA. If you can get labs, there's something known as the omega-3 index. You want that to be 8%. You want 8% of the fatty acid in your body to be omega-3s. And the way that you can raise that is by testing what the proper dosage of EPA and DHA is. The reason this is important, it will reduce your risk of all causes death by 17%. It will lower your risk for all forms of cancer by 17%. It will lower your risk for cardiovascular disease by 21%. And it will also reduce your risk for dementia. So for a host of reasons, omega-3s are incredibly important. The third supplement is magnesium. The current RDA, that's recommended daily allowance, that's the minimum you should be taking for health, is 400 milligrams for healthy adults. Approximately 50% of the population is not getting adequate magnesium in their diet. And what makes this even worse is, again, the RDA, which is that recommendation of 400 milligrams, is the minimum amount you should be having to prevent disease. Now, there are various ways that you can get magnesium in your diet. Spinach, Swiss chard, almonds. However, most people are not having enough of those sources daily to get adequate magnesium. Enter supplementation. For women, it's going to be around approximately 300 milligrams of magnesium daily. For men, it's going to be a little closer to 500 milligrams daily. There are other factors, how much stress you have in your life, your age, are you exercising on a regular basis? Age, because your body stores 60% of its magnesium in its bones. It's almost like a reservoir. It can draw from that magnesium anytime it needs it, but that's a double-edged sword because at the same time, even though it has this reservoir of it, if you're getting inefficient magnesium in your diet, it's going to draw the magnesium out of your bones. The other thing is stress. Your career, family, your body perceives it all the same, and more stress in your life means you require more magnesium. And one form of stress that we don't commonly think about is exercise, which not only our body interprets as stress with a host of health benefits, but still stress, but also when you exercise, you perspire, which means you need even more magnesium. When it comes to how you should be supplementing it, you want to have organic sources of magnesium. That includes glycinate, citrate, and malate. These are very bioavailable. I have magnesium glycinate right in front of you. I really suggest you get it in capsule form because otherwise it tastes like shit. Again, to reiterate why it's so important, besides being essential for bone health, for every 100 milligrams of magnesium taken daily, your risk for pancreatic cancer drops 24%. So for every 100 milligrams. And those of us who are at the highest level of magnesium, so for people who are getting that 300 if you're a woman, 500 if you're a man, people like me who exercise a lot, I actually take 700 milligrams. For those people in the upper quartile of magnesium, they have a 40% lower risk of all symptoms mortality and a 50% lower risk of all forms of cancer. So again, vital for bone health, vital for all symptoms mortality, and also vital to prevent multiple forms of cancer. Number 4 on our list, Celium Husk. This is essentially fiber, and fiber is made up of 2 forms, soluble and insoluble, and they both have a host of health benefits. You can get enough fiber in your diet through eating properly, but most Americans really struggle with it. My recommendation would be to people who are on a diet, every 400 calories, eat 10 grams of fiber. If you're not trying to lose weight right now, then every 500 calories you eat, try to eat 10 grams of fiber. This really makes it very simple because it's 20 calories, 3 grams of fiber. and 2 of the grams of fiber are coming from soluble fiber, and the other gram is coming from insoluble fiber. So it's a nice spread of both soluble and insoluble fiber, and really is just very helpful when trying to get more fiber in your diet. It's not necessary at all, and in fact, I do not presently take it because I eat so many fruit and vegetables in my diet. But again, for most people, this is a really helpful supplement, and it's definitely incredible for your health. And number 5 is creatine. And you might wonder, Jake, why is this under health? Creatine is really great for performance, and it is, but it's also incredible for your health because muscle is so vital, especially as you age. You really want to think about muscle as like your savings account or your IRA or your 401k, because at some point you're only going to be making withdrawals. You're no longer going to be making deposits when it comes to muscle. You really have like the first, well, obviously when you're a baby, you're not going to be lifting, but you really have like the windows of like your teen years until you're like 60 to build muscle. And then it basically becomes extremely difficult. And so if you don't have that savings account, if you don't have that reservoir, like when I talk about magnesium with your bones, you're not going to have a lot to draw against as you start to age. So for that reason, because it's so pivotal and so useful for building muscle, I really recommend that people take creatine monohydrate, providing you don't have any health issues that prohibit it, like kidney issues. 5 grams a day for most men, 3 grams a day for most women. I take 8 grams because I'm a bigger human being. There are some cognitive benefits to creatine as well, such as mood, such as cognition. But the major reason that I'm suggesting this and putting this on the health list is because muscle is so vital to being healthy. And there you have it, 5 supplements for your health. Vitamin D, omega-3s, magnesium, Celium Husk, and creatine monohydrate. Thank you for tuning in. Content like this, I have to really spend time researching, but it's also very fulfilling because I think this is the stuff that people really need to hear about. If you like what you saw today, please hit subscribe. I put out long format at least weekly. I think we're going to start putting out 6 videos a month. We put out shorts every day on YouTube. If you're not following me on Instagram, that's where the majority of my following is. Please follow there. Just thank you for tuning in. Thanks all for the support, guys. It's really kind of amazing to see all my social media platforms blow up over the last couple of years. Thanks for tuning in.